Hello, I'm Dragoș, and in this video we are going to see how you can run LLMs to your local computer. And for this I'm going to use a MacBook Pro M4 Mini, which has 24 gigabytes of RAM, unified RAM for video and for daily tasks. And yesterday Mistral released their 3 version that it's offering different parameters for their open source LLM. So you have the Mistral 3 that currently can be run with 3 billion parameters, 8 billion parameters, and 14 billion parameters. And they have also reasoning for this. And we're going to see in this video how you can run this Mistral 3 open source LLMs on your own MacBook Pro M4 Mini and how well it does. So you can see here that these models are smarter than Queen 3, for instance, with 8 billion parameters. So first of all, these parameters like 3 billions, 8 billions, 14 billions is how smart the model it is. So basically this will tell you if the parameters are bigger, the smarter the model will be, but with bigger parameters you will also need more RAM or the more GPU power, so you can run this in your server. And we're going to go and check the options. So the first options that I was using in the past, it was with the Ollama. I don't like using Ollama anymore. I don't feel that it's better than the second options that I will gonna show you. But if you want to run it with Ollama, you have this option, so you can go and run this also with Ollama. They have the parameters in there, 3 billion, 8 billion and 40 billions. I don't see the reasoning in here, but what I'm recommending for you to use, it's this LM Studio, because you have more flexibility, you have a built-in chat and it can be easily installed. So in function, if you have like a Windows machine with a GPU powered video card, or you're using a Mac with M series like I'm doing, you can just go and download it and install it, and then you can go and check it. So we're gonna use LM Studio for this, and basically after you install it, you'll have this interface in here that will allow you to go and do stuff with LLMs. But for beginners, maybe this is like something that is not that friendly. And in here first you will have like the chat options in the left side. In here you have the developer view. I am not using this. In here you have the models that you have currently downloaded on your own server, and in here you have the size and the name and parameters. And in here you can go and discover new models that you want to chat with. And in here, for instance, you can go and just type the Mistral, and then they will provide you the best options for your hardware. So the best option for my hardware is this 40 billion with reasoning, or 3 billion without reasoning. But again, you can decide on your own what you want to use, because in here you will have access to all their models. So you see in here that you can go and choose the 1480, and the other option is just to go in their website and check their all models. And in here you will have, for instance, access to the model catalog, and you can go and use the model catalog with this, and you can just go, for instance, and search and see the latest model. In here Mistral is the latest one, and you can go in here and, for instance, you can go and copy this if you want to use the Mistral 3 with 8 billion parameters, and you will go in here in the search and you just go on like this, and then you will just put download. I already have this installed, but yeah, if you want to download, you just go check it in here and choose the download option. And then into the download, it will start downloading, and right now I have all of these models in here that I can use. And we're going to check also some of the settings that are out there. Again, this is a M4 Pro Mac Mini with 24 gigabytes of RAM. You can go and, for instance, modify the settings. So in here, for instance, if you're going to check the 3 billion parameters, if you're going to hit these settings, you have the options to enable overrides, which means that you can override the default parameters that you have in here. And some of the most important things in here is the fact that you have the context length. So by default, it's coming with 4K, which is small. So basically the context length is the length that the LLM, it will load into memory. So basically this is the memory. It will just keep track of the conversation that you have with the LLM. So if you type something, this will be added into the memory and it will be added into this context. So every time when you start a new chat, it will have a new memory. And basically this is the one that it's using the most RAM and makes the model slower. So if you want to use like a big context, 4000 token, it's not a lot. So basically you want to have something in here like 20, 30, 40, so you can have some room to chat with the model and load the conversation into this context and in the memory. And in here you have the GPU offload. So basically this is to load the model on the GPU. There it will be the fastest. You want to offload the LLM into the GPU memory. So this is for the 3 billion parameters. In here you can just go and increase the size of the context length, because the 3 billion parameters, it will not eat a lot of RAM. But if you will want to check, for instance, let's say the 40 billion parameters, if you are going to settings in here, you will see that you have by default about 4K of tokens, which is not enough. And you can go in here and increase this. But at some point you'll have some problems, because you cannot keep everything into the context, because you will need a lot of RAM to do that. So for this test, I will just use 24 like this, and I will let everything as it is, like GPU offload and the other things to remain. Okay, and right now I will just close this. And if you are going to check, for instance, the one with 80 billions, you will see that I will let it as the default. I will not modify anything in here, just to see how it is. So right now let's go and chat with these models. So right now I am in the chat interface, and in here select a model to load. You'll have the options to go and choose these details. It will be like this in the beginning. So in here you see that you can go and choose the Mistral 3 with 8 billion with reasoning, with 3 with 3 billions without reasoning, and 40B, which is the most powerful one. And in the beginning you will be like this. You will not have the options to modify anything, but if you tickle this, manually choose model load parameters, you'll have the options to go in here. And for instance, if we want to change the 30B and change something in here, maybe the context is too bigger, I want to decrease it, or maybe you want to offload more files to the GPU, you will have the options to just tickle the details in here. And in here you will gonna see that, for instance, how much memory this will gonna use. So you see that with a bigger increase in the context, you will need more memory for this. So this has like 24 gigabytes of RAM. You can see the details in here, but already some RAM it's used, because I am using this PC to record and to do things like that. And I don't want to overload it. I just want to put the 37K tokens in the context, and I will load the model in here. And right now this model, it will be loaded, and right now we're gonna use this 3 billion, and let's go and chat with this, and I will tell it, who are you? And right now you see that this thing, it's very fast, because it's using only 3 billion parameters, and in here you have like 67 tokens per second, which is pretty fast. And first token it took under 1 second. And you can go to chat with it, where I can go in vacation to Greece next year, for instance. Sorry for the mistakes. And you see that it will provide you some details, so you can chat with it like a normal LLM. And you can go and, for instance, load a different one. So let's go and load the one that it's let's say the most powerful one, 14B, and I will gonna check the parameters in here. So right now you see that you have these options. So again, you will need more RAM to do this, and you see in here the RAM usage right now is not that big because the 3 billion parameter is not using a lot. And let's load this model in here, and right now you'll see that the RAM it will increase because it will start using this model. And right now let's go and open a new chat, and again, who are you? I'm just chatting with it. You see the new model, and this one, it has ring reasoning. What this means is that first it will just think on the question you have asked, and it will try to provide the best answer. So you see in here that it thought for 8.5 seconds and then responded with a question. And you see that for this one, for instance, you don't have like 70 tokens per second, you have only 21 tokens per second with this model. And you see that when it started to think and work, it consumes more memory in here. And then you can ask it again, where Greece in vacation. Okay, and right now it will think on the question, and it will just go and provide you a better option. So this model, it has reasoning right now, it is smarter because it's using the 40B parameters. And right now it's just thinking to the best answer for you. Okay, it didn't understand Greece because maybe I misspelled it, so it just spits out some details where you can go and do your vacation next year. And you see that it's using 21 tokens per second, which is pretty fast. And again, the memory pressure in here, it's quite high. And in here you see that right now the context, so you have like from the 21k tokens with these two conversation only 1200 tokens, and in here you have the RAM, CPU, and so on. And yeah, you have all of these stats in here that you can go and check. And right now you can, for instance, go and attach an image, and we're going to chat with an image in here. Let me go and choose an image. This is one of my thumbnails, because this model has also vision, and you can chat with an image, and this image has in it. And I will ask him to just go and check the image, and right now this model, it will just go and check the image. Basically this is a YouTube thumbnail with recraft that I've did, okay, and it reads the text and so on. And because this model, it's smarter and it has thinking, it will provide a good answer for you. And you see that you don't wait it a lot. And since the text, a masculine character on the side, it sees this like a pizza, which resembles a pizza, and so on. And the other thing that you can do is to go and, for instance, chat with your PDFs. So you have the options to chat with PDF, docs, text files, CSV. So you can use these local LLMs also to chat with these files that you are keeping in here. And again, this will go to the context, and it will go and fill the context as much as the conversation it will be. And yeah, I mean, in here that's about it. If you want to go and check other models, you can go and do that. And in here you have the chats that you can go and activate. Okay, let me eject the model. So you can, after you finish with the model, you can just go and eject it like this. And what this will do, it will just go and it will offload it from the memory you see in here, and it will free up the memory. And another thing that you can do is to use the LLM Studio also for coding. So if you like to code, you can also use that. So when you are installing LLM Studio, you will have this pictogram in here, and in here right now you can go and start server on port 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. And basically what this will do, it will go and start a server for you that can be accessed with this port, and you can use it in different coding tools. out there, and we're gonna see one of them. And in here for the local model, you can go and load your local model. And for this test, I will just gonna use the one with 40 billion like this. Right now this is quite big, but I just want to show you something that it's, let's say here, smart. And right now you're gonna see that the model is loaded on the server, and this is the unloaded model. You can unload it in here. And for instance, if we're gonna check VS Studio, that has some plugins for this. Okay, this is VS. If you are going to extension in here, you have some extensions that can be used with LM Studio. One of them is KiloCode, which is already installed, KiloCode AI agent. You have RuCode, this one that can be also used to chat with this model. You have Klein and so on. And let's go and install KiloCode for this test, so we can see how we can configure this from scratch. So in here I have just a code directory with an Astra website that I've created yesterday with a test with the LLM model. It was the DeepSeek 3. And in here, let's say I want to configure RuCode. Okay. And in here you have this settings thing that you can go and change. In here you can create a profile for this. And in here you have the options to choose the provider, and you can search for LM. And in here you have the LM Studio. And in here you have the options to choose the base URL and choose the model ID in here. And in here you see that you have the different models. And right now I want to use this with reasoning, like this. In here I have all the 3 models that I've downloaded, and right now it will use this Mistral 3 with 40 billion. So I will hit save. And right now what I will do, I will hit done. And in here you have the interface, so you can chat with this. And in here you have the options to choose from architect to plan and code. Okay, and right now it will use the default one that using the Mistral. And in here you can just go and chat with this. So what I will do, I will tell it what this project is about. And again, these models in here are needing a lot of power to work with your code, because it needs to use tool calls, it needs to be smart to be able to understand the use of tool calls, it needs to load everything into the context. And in here you see that right now this is using the 21K context size, and right now this is just goes and tries to hit the LM Studio API with the model. And this can take some time because again you need a lot of resources to be able to do this. And right now you see, if you are using, let's say, the 40B one, you will need this resources, and basically everything it gonna be utilized. And that's why coding locally with LLMs needs a powerful machine. Right now M4 Pro, Mac Mini with 25 gigabytes of RAM, it's not that powerful, so you need one with more GPU, more RAM, in case you want to try with this one. Because you see in here solar, okay, it wants to create a subtask for this. Maybe it took too long, and you see that these are some of the problems that you are gonna encounter. I will cancel this, and what I will do, I will go to settings and I will choose a smaller model like this, save, done. And let's see in here, I will unload this model from the details, and let's see if this can go and chat with this. I will open a new details. I'm gonna use the code for this, and again I will check this, and let's see if this will load the model automatically. Project is about, because I know the model is not loaded. You see that the model was loaded automatically, and this time we should not have that big increase in memory. we should have a smaller memory footprint because this is using only 3 billion parameters. But let's see if this thing is working. Because I'm seeing that it null code, it stays a lot. Okay. It tries to do a to-do list right now, and what this scene, it's seen that this is a solar panel website, and it tells you the details in here. Okay, and right now it tries to read the files in this project, and you see that this is quite fast, but it's pretty unusable. And you see that right now the context in here, it is almost to 20k from 37k, but you see that if you try to code with these models locally, you will have some problems, because if you want to use a smart one, you will need a lot of resources. If you want to use one that is not that smart and using not that many billion parameters, it's not that smart. So yeah, I mean, these are some of the LLM things that you can do, and this is how fast the new Mistral 3 it is. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and in case you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have questions, drop the questions below.